Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey, and let's read the best Canadian export of 2025. That's right, I'm talking about Heated Rivalry. It has taken the world by storm, and I needed to know why, what's going on, why are we doing this? So, firstly, please excuse the lighting in this introduction. And at the end of the video, as you can clearly hear in the background, my son is a little crawler. He crawls everywhere, and I can't record when he's home in the library room. So he's sort of within my vicinity, and we have to make do with the lighting that is available. So, with that being said, what are my credentials to be reading Heated Rivalry for you all and giving you my opinion? First, I'm Canadian. Second, I'm bisexual. Third, I played hockey for 20 years. 4, I live in Montreal. 5, I was born and raised a Boston Bruins fan. So, this could not be more for me, I fear. So, after rewatching episodes 1 to 5 twice, I decided, you know what? It's time to get into the text. Let's read the text of what has become quickly my obsession, but the rest of the world's obsession. So I will take you back to Kelsey a couple days ago when I started with Heated Rivalry, and you'll see me reading this book, crying, and then we'll come back at the end. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to keep this a little bit short and low because I'm updating you late at night. I just put my baby to sleep because today was his first birthday party. He had a lot of cake, so he was very energetic until about 9:30, and then I was able to put him to sleep. So whatever, his problem tomorrow, not mine. I wanted to talk because I did get through the first part of Heated Rivalry, so I'm sure I did a proper introduction to this. Hello, as I was editing, I realized that I never spoke about what Heated Rivalry is about because I just assumed that it's taken everybody by storm as it's taken me by storm. But if you don't know, Heated Rivalry is part of the Game Changer series that was written by Rachel Reed. It essentially follows a professional group of hockey players as they discover their sexualities. Specifically with Heated Rivalry, we're following Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov. Shane Hollander is a Canadian-born player, plays for my son, plays for the Montreal Metros, and Ilya Rozanov is a Russian-born player who plays for the Boston Raiders. And this is the story of how they come together. So with that, I will lead you into the video now. The first part really goes over Shane and Ilya's rookie seasons. So when they started off in the juniors and they played against each other country to country, and then as they started off into their different teams, what I really like about this, and I'll say it straight off the bat, Rachel Reed definitely knows hockey, or at least the basis of what would make a good rivalry between two teams. And so the first part is really going over this early relationship between Ilya and Shane, and mainly focusing on how their relationship slash more sexual endeavors coincide with what's going on in their competitive lifestyle in hockey. And I think for me specifically, I particularly adore hockey. It is my favorite sport to watch. I do watch it passionately as a hobby. So a lot of these subtle hockey nods that are in the show at least are really interesting to me, but especially in here, talking about how they met each other in the juniors, played against each other in the juniors in Canada, and how they got first and second pick. And this would really cause them to not only be competitive rivals, but also have a relationship with each other. The only other person that would understand the level at which you need to compete and be good at the sport is another player that will be in the top picks for the draft. So it's really interesting that this is how they are paired up, and this really explains their over competitive nature with one another. Obviously, it's also reminiscent of Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin when they started off in their rookie season and they were to be the best in the leagues, and you still see that to this day. They are a lot older and they are still among the best in the league. So I think it's really interesting to have that subtle nod to their rivalry as well, although obviously it was not as intense as this. They are not as known for their team competition as well as Boston and Montreal is. Boston and Montreal are among the original 6 in hockey, and so the original 6 have this very highly competitive rivalry for over 100 years, and so that's also why Boston and Montreal are very competitive, and putting Ilya and Shane in these two rival teams adds to this rivalry between players. It's an extra level. And then obviously Russia and Canada, along with the US, are all three very competitive country teams when they are meeting each other in the Olympics or all-star games and stuff like that. So all of this, like aside from the relationship that's growing with Ilya and Shane, is something that I appreciate just knowing hockey as well. And then I also really like Shane and Ilya's dynamic because I really identify with Ilya. Ilya is someone who doesn't express his feelings, or does, but it's always in a sarcastic and joking way, a very like tough natured individual, which I also am when I need to express feeling, which I don't. And that really resonates with me with Ilya. And Shane is also this very, very sweet character. He's very polite. He is very like Sidney Crosby coded, which is this like good guy of the league, never gets into fights, is very kind, is always doing the right thing. Ilya is definitely like the rough and tough, like Russian. And I like this dynamic because I like that Ilya has these like restraints. It's hard for him to vocalize, not only because of who he is as a person and finds it difficulty expressing his feelings, but also because he is communicating in a language that is not his first language. That makes for difficulties when he's trying to understand things and express himself when he finds frustration. And I definitely relate to that. I find it very hard to express myself as well. I'm really, really, really relating to Ilya's character. And obviously, like, I'm enjoying the relationship. Okay, like, let's be serious. Like, obviously, I do. Right now, I am rewatching the season at the same time that I'm reading this book for the first time. So I just finished the Scott Hunter episode. Really cute and wonderful. And I loved it so much. And the next episode is when we meet Rose Landry, or Landry, as they refer to her in the show. And I think that part 2 in the book is probably going over that because the first 3 episodes were what was occurring in here. Well, obviously, the Scott Hunter is the entire Game Changer book that happened before this that I did not read. But I understand, having watched like the whole season, the purpose of episode 3, which I really liked. Not that this is a TV show review, just to place myself in my understanding of the book. So I'm going to start part 2. It is December 2013. So I'm going to continue listening to this before I go to sleep tonight. Tomorrow, it's the start of Christmas week. So I think I'm going to take my baby to daycare. I'm going to go to a cycling class because obviously, like, I need to work out. It just makes me feel better. Who would have thunk it? So I'm going to do that. Probably pick up my baby after and hopefully get another third of the way through Heated Rivalry. So I came back from spinning this morning. I finished rewatching Heated Rivalry episode 5 today. Obviously sobbed my fucking eyes out. What an emotional episode. I might rewatch it again, or at least like Ilya's monologue. Perfect, beautiful, wonderful. But in terms of like where I got in the book, I am at page 212 because I was starting a new chapter. But now we're getting into the point of the book where Ilya and Shane are focusing more on their feelings and sort of admitting to each other that they like each other a bit more. Shane had this conversation with Rose where he expressed how much he likes men. I thought that their relationship was really cute. I like that Rose is there to be like a confidant for Shane because he doesn't feel comfortable talking to anyone. And right now, him and Ilya are bonding. Ilya's talking about how unwell his father is, really opening up to Shane, which obviously for someone who is also closed off, this is a really beautiful and telling moment for their relationship. And we see that in the show as well, that Ilya and Shane look more and more like they're falling in love. And that feeling is definitely apparent in the book as well. And I think the chapter that I'm at is when Ilya has to return back to Russia because his father passes away. And this is the pivotal moment in episode 5 that I was crying about. Can't wait to reread that in physical form. So I think now I'm pretty much going to read till the end of the book. In regards to like my overall feelings, I'm obviously obsessed with the TV show. So that is painting this in a more positive light, right? I'm really, really, really enjoying the book because I'm imagining the characters that I already love from the television show in the book. If I had to nitpick, I would definitely say that the audiobook narrator sucks. The only reason I'm enjoying this narration and listening to it is, first of all, I sort of have to. I'm finding a lot of difficulty reading books with my eyeballs while taking care of my son. So I need to listen to books on audio to enjoy them. I find like the audiobook narrator really make or breaks books sometimes, but because I already love these characters and I like this world, I'm bound to enjoy this. So I'm going to continue listening to this now, and hopefully I could finish it tonight because I would really, really, really like to read the long game in this vlog as well. That will give me some insight into season 2 of Heated Rivalry, which I will be obsessed with. Hopefully get to the cottage scene in this book. I've heard lots of things about the cottage. And obviously at the end of episode 5, due to Scott Hunter's coming out as the first like official NHL player, well, I guess it's not NHL in this series because it's not really them, but due to that, they've become brave to spend their time at the cottage together. So I'm very, very excited to read these scenes. I'm loving hockey Twitter right now while Heated Rivalry is going on, because like the people who watch hockey, the jokes that are being made, top tier. I find them so freaking funny. And I also need to cook supper at the same time as I will be listening to this. So hopefully I will be done tonight.
Somebody sedate me.
Hello. So I have finished Heated Rivalry, and obviously, as a bisexual Canadian who's played hockey her entire life, I had to give this 5 stars. Is it due to the show and me enjoying the show so much? Probably very likely, but I just really, really enjoyed this. I had a great time listening to it, reading it. Obviously, I had some qualms with the audiobook narrator, and I think part of that might be due to the more static nature of like the dialogue and whatnot, but I still really, really, really enjoyed this. I already have plans to reread it and highlight everything because I'm that obsessed with Heated Rivalry, guys. So I give this 5 stars. Absolutely enjoyed it. A lot of the last third was really Shane discovering his sexuality, or not discovering his sexuality because obviously he discovered it, really coming to terms with feeling comfortable in his own skin, feeling comfortable with his sexuality, and then Ilya also coming to terms with his actual real feelings for Shane, and Ilya opening up to this more romantic relationship that he could have with Shane. Obviously, Shane is doing the same, but Ilya is the one that is more closed off in regards to admitting the romantic nature of their relationship. The cottage episode is premiering the Friday that I am filming this video, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but I really do think that the cottage scene, what becomes of their relationship afterwards, was a really nice way to close out this novel, and I would have been satisfied by the ending of this novel because obviously I enjoyed the book that much and the show that much and their relationship that much. I really like that we can see how they've grown from just these like rookie seasoned boys who were sort of using each other for discovering their feelings and their sexualities to now being able to admit that they have a more larger fondness for one another. I decided that I'm also going to pick up The Long Game since season 2 for Heated Rivalry was announced. So I'm assuming a lot of what's going to happen in season 2 is going to be from this book. And when I opened the book, I thought it was really cute because it says, "This book is for the Shane and Ilya fans. Thanks for making this happen." And obviously, a lot more has come of it now that the show has had this like enormous success. There's a lot more Shane and Ilya fans out in the world, including me, obviously. I haven't read the rest of the series, but I think I just want to stick with these two now and potentially read more from the Game Changer series. Obviously, I love Scott and Kip. I Believe in Anything by Wolf Parade has been non-stop playing. Let me tell you that. I think obviously they are the game changer. They caused Ilya and Shane to be able to admit that maybe there is something more in their relationship, right? So, but for the purpose of this vlog, I will be starting The Long Game now. I'm going to also start making some supper because it's Christmas week. So then I'm going to stick with leftovers for my son and my partner. But obviously for me, I'm going to order sushi because I'm not going to have sushi all week. So love that for me. Sushi, Shane and Ilya. Let's get the night started. Hello, Merry Christmas Eve and Merry The Long Game. I am 150 pages into The Long Game and I'm really, really enjoying it. I don't think I'm enjoying it as much as Heated Rivalry, but it is simply because Heated Rivalry, I have like the scenes of the TV show to like paint a picture in my mind, whereas here I'm painting the picture all by myself. This is definitely coming off of what we saw at the end of the Heated Rivalry book, where they've admitted that they love each other. In this book, they are very much in love and they have a solid plan in place in order to be able to be with each other once they both retire from hockey. This book is also, in addition to exploring a real relationship between two characters that we know are together and working through their actual problems. So some of this book is actually focusing on like mental health struggles that both of the men are going through. We're really only glimpsing at it in the first 150 pages, but there has been some slight discussions about Shane having a sort of eating disorder. It's at least very heavily healthy and he's not really choosing to enjoy life. He's really focusing on this diet in order to look and feel good, but he is making comments about how it isn't making him very happy in like a mental health sense, but he's so driven and focused on being disciplined that he speaks about it as a way of like controlling this one thing in his life. And that's a very common sentiment for eating disorders, is that when you feel like you can't control other elements in your life, and obviously this relationship with Ilya being secret for 10 years is affecting both of them, right? But for Shane, maybe this like eating journey is the only way he is able to control things. My son is eating behind me, and I'm noticing that he's just taking things from his plate and then putting them on the floor, so I think he's eating. And now that I'm looking at him, he's pretending to eat again. He's been very difficult lately. I know it's a toddler thing where they're like learning control, speaking of, and deciding what they want and don't want to eat. And they don't like when you give them things that are like healthy. So we're going through it. In the same vein as Shane's struggles with like eating, we also have some slight discussions of Ilya's depression and Ilya being sad or not being open to speaking. This is something that I mentioned with Heated Rivalry as well, that I really identify with this aspect of Ilya and Ilya not being able to discuss his feelings, finding struggles with communicating, and then often seeing more like dark or the more miserable side of things over like the positivity of certain situations. So both Shane and Ilya are really mentally struggling with having to keep their relationship a secret. So I think that this is an interesting aspect that the long game is going to be exploring. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But this is definitely like less of like a yearning book that the Heated Rivalry was, and more of like a look into this relationship that we know and love and how it has been affecting our characters. A very different approach to the romance novel, but one that I am interested in engaging with. So my son is now throwing pieces of meatballs at me. So I'm going to stop talking, feed him myself because he doesn't seem to be wanting to eat by himself. And then I will also be at the same time as doing this, listening to the long game. Hello, Merry Christmas. You may be asking, what did you get for Christmas, Kelsey? The house is overrun with a lot of toys. And you would think, oh, maybe you got duplicates. No, I did not. No, we got actually 0 duplicates for both his birthday and Christmas. How does that happen? Why are there so many children's toys? The house is a mess. It's a disaster. But how am I making myself feel better? First of all, I need to watch episode 6 of Heated Rivalry today, the season finale. But I did want to update because I am now at the last third of the long game. I definitely plan to finish it today. I want to get this video out relatively before the year ends. Just making my last video of the year, not too worried about it, not too stressed about it. And I'm really enjoying this book. I don't think in the same like fevered hungerness that I had for Heated Rivalry, because this is definitely one of a slower book. This is just an evolvement of Shane and Ilya's relationship as we saw it in the first book. And right now, Ilya is really coming to terms with the fact that he might have some mental health issues that he needs to figure out, and that he's working on figuring out and opening up more to Shane. As we know, Ilya does struggle with opening up, with talking about his feelings. He often makes jokes, he's often more sarcastic. And this book, we're really seeing him open up, express his feelings, really show Shane how sad he's been, because obviously Ilya has given up a lot to be with Shane. He left his Boston team to go to Ottawa so that he could be closer to Shane, so that he can be one step closer to also being a Canadian citizen, so that they could be together, really following through with the plan that they have led. And he feels as though Shane is not making the exact same sacrifices. There's sort of resentment building here, which I think is very common for couples that have been together a long time and are taking necessary and big steps to be together, do what they need to do to stay together. And I'm really appreciating this conversation. As I've mentioned many times, I do identify a lot with Ilya, and this conversation of feeling resentfulness when it's not necessarily your partner's fault, struggling with being able to express your feelings, again, not your partner's fault, really an internal thing, I think is very true to me. And so reading this is like a reflection of like the way that I feel and the way that like I see the world. And so like then I also feel bad for Shane, because I'm like, it's not Shane's fault, but Shane is also doing things without realizing the way that they are affecting Ilya. So I'm very excited to get to the last third. There have been a lot of cute moments, a lot of sad moments. I'm interested to see how Shane's struggles with food develop as we move forward. We're not necessarily really talking about that. I myself have never struggled with clean eating disorder, so I don't know if this is like the best representation for it, but I can say that the depression conversation I think is extremely realistic, especially for people who have struggles with communicating their feelings outwardly. But the conversations towards like eating and stuff, I'm not necessarily sure. We'll see how, if it develops as we go on. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't think I'm enjoying it as much as Heated Rivalry, because again, I think I like the yearning and the satisfaction of finally being together after yearning over like this couple being in love and slowly moving on and getting ready for their life together in the future, that kind of thing. We're going to continue listening to it. We're going to continue getting ready. I'm going to my sister's house. I do want to take some B-roll there because I haven't taken any B-roll. If like I wasn't telling you it's Christmas, you would have no freaking idea. So I told my sisters to remind me to do B-roll. I'm not going to talk when I'm there, but at least film like the food we're eating, maybe her tree. We'll see. So welcome back to the end of the video, and let's get into my final thoughts on The Long Game by Rachel Reed. And I'll start this off by saying that I don't think this one is my favorite amongst the two books that I've read for this vlog, simply because I yearn for the year. This one was just a development of the romantic relationship between Shane and Ilya. I think my issues with the writing and the pacing were more apparent in this one as well, because I'm not being distracted by the competitive rivals to lovers dynamic that I really enjoy in my romance books. Before, in Heated Rivalry, I'm screaming, asking to get out of the confines of my cages, and here I'm simply enjoying their story and how they're figuring out how to come out, how to be in love. I thought that all of that was really beautiful, but it does make the issues that I had with the writing a little bit more apparent. And some of that comes with Shane's representation specifically. Listen, I'm not Asian Canadian myself, so I can't really speak for the representation. And Rachel Reed herself is also a white author. And the only reason I could think of Rachel Reed making Shane half Japanese is that the current Montreal Canadiens captain, Nick Suzuki, is also of Japanese descent. So that's the only reason I could see for this happening. So if you're coming into this looking for a POC representation, I don't really think it's there. And also, I was discussing throughout my vlog clips if we were going to really talk about Shane's very obvious eating disorder that was occurring. And he sort of just like lets it go at the end. He's like, you know what? I'm happy now, so I can eat like a cookie here and there. I think that sort of makes sense because Shane and Ilya had their life sort of blown up again at the end of this book, and Shane does lose that control, that sense of control. So he sort of gives up on this other aspect of control he has in his life. That's really the only discussion we had about Shane feeling as though he needed to like give up on this eating habit that he developed. In all honesty, maybe that representation wasn't the best, and I'm excited to see how Jacob Tierney does it within the next season of Heated Rivalry, because I do think visually he could probably tackle it a lot better with Hudson Williams and how they can really make Shane's character thrive and shine in this aspect. But as I mentioned several times in the updates, I really identified with Ilya's mental health struggles in this one, as someone who struggles with talking about their feelings, opening up, accepting and admitting that they have issues. So I really identified with him. His acceptance towards himself, his acceptance to speak on his problems with a therapist was really emotional for me. And I obviously love him and Shane's relationship. And I love all the hockey shit and all the hockey discussions in here, I think are really realistic. There was a lot of discussions on them being forced to stay in the closet. All of that is really realistic, I think, to a gay experience in the NHL and athletes in general right now currently. It's a very masculine space, and so I can see how in a very masculine space this status quo is not like want to be disrupted. So I think that that was all really realistic. So I gave it 4 stars just because I had those issues with the writing style, but obviously I love them so much. So I also, just as a side note, watched episode 6 today, finished it. It was the last clip you saw of me bawling my eyes out because Shane finally had this like sense of closure with his parents, and he was able to come out of the closet, and Ilya was there, and he's like, hey, you have your family and your boyfriend, and like everything's gonna be okay, like we love each other, I'm gonna be traded to Ottawa. It was just really beautiful. And I don't know how many times I'm going to watch episode 6 after this. Obviously, I have to edit this vlog. I do want to post it before the new year, like make it my last vlog of the year. So even if it goes up on the 31st, like that's fine to me. And obviously, I love that my Canadian taxes went towards this show. God tier, the thing that saved 2025 for the world. And it made me read some of the funnest books that I've read all year, quite frankly. I already want to reread these, highlight them, really get into Ilya's struggles and stuff like that. Obviously, there are some issues with the writing style, with the pacing, but genuinely, I just enjoy this. So let me know down below if you've watched Heated Rivalry. I assume so. Let me know if you've read the books, what you thought about them. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. If you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there in the rise of billionaires and capitalism. But hopefully, due to the popularity of Heated Rivalry, woke is coming back, baby. And of course, because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. This one is for my channel, makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye!